Hey everyone, let's start with question number 6, Digital Electronics, asked in GATE Examination 2025. A positive edge-triggered sequential circuit is shown below. There are no timing violations in the circuit. Input P0 is set to logic 0 and P1 is set to logic 1 at all times. The timing diagram of the input, select and S are also shown below. The sequence of the output Y from T0 to T3 is. So, if you see the circuit, I will start with an analogy that you should take care of. It is always matters and you should understand this, that you can also relate it with your real life. Your future will become your present. Why I am telling this will be clear at the end of this question. So, what are the prerequisites required to solve this is characteristic of the flip-flop, which is D is equals to Qn plus 1, or you also say that Qn plus. So we will start by writing the solution. First thing, what the information is given in the question. First, it is said it is positive edge triggered flip-flops or sequential circuits which are triggered at positive edges. So you have to look at these edges and the value corresponding to these edges. So it is given positive edge triggered, and what is the second thing is also important, that P0 is always set at 0 logic and P1 is always set at logic 1 at all times. So you don't have to worry about these values are fixed. So first we will write the table. By setting the present state, next state, and your output by. So what is your present state is Q0 and Q1. Let's say this is flip-flop 0 F and this is flip-flop 1. The next state is Q plus and Q1 plus. You can also denote this at D0 and this is D1 as per its characteristic equation, what I have told here. So, and output is nothing but, you can see from the figure that it is Q1 plus bar, Q1 plus and Q0 plus. So by exclusive OR, this becomes Q1 bar XOR with Q0 bar So you also know that this expression is not equivalent to Q1 XOR with Q0. So now you will understand the analogy of this question. So when S is equals select line becomes 0 and S is equals to 0, so what would happen? Before the clocks arrive, first positive clock, second positive clock, third, and this is fourth. So before the arriving of first positive clock, let's say that we don't know the present states. So now we will calculate the next state at positive edge of first clock, which comes out to be when we see that select is given here 0 and S is also 0 at first positive clock. So I have written select is 0, S is 0. So you will see when S select is 0 and S is 0, so select is 0, S is also 0. So C and P is set to 0 always and P1 is set to 1. So I am writing the output of here and here. So at select is equals to 0, P0 comes here, select is equals to 1, select is equals to also 0. So P is equals to 1 comes here. So what are the input? D0 is equals to 0 and D1 is equals to 1, which is nothing but Q1 plus and this is Q0 plus. So Q0 is 0 and Q0 plus is 0, Q0 1 plus is 1. So we will fill this 0 and 1. Now you have to understand this came when first positive edge of clock. Now before going to the second positive edge of the clock, you should know and you should relate with the analogy what I have given, that your future state now becomes your present states before arriving of the second clock. So this becomes 0 and this becomes 1. Before, I will write this, before arriving of second clock. Don't worry about the output, we will calculate this. So first you have to concentrate on present state and next state. So now your present states are this before arriving of the second clock. Now your second clock arrives. Now you have to see what are the select value and what is the value of S. So select value, I think it's now updated to 1, but S remains 0. So here S select is equals to 1, S is 0. Now again you have to see what are the changes in the state. So I will write with using different color. So please see, when S becomes 1, so and select becomes 1 and S is 0. So what comes here? 0. So I will write D0 is equals to Q0 plus, which is nothing but 0. Now you have to come here. Now select becomes 1. Now what was the value which was present here? This was the value based on what is the value Q have given already given there. So Q previously present state of Q not is 0. So you have to see that Q naught is यहाँ is 0 here. So your Q1 plus becomes 0. You have to see that at select is equals to 1, select line will see here, and before converting this value here, you already know what is present here because the before arrival of the second clock. So before arrival of the second clock, you know that what is the value present here. So you have to give it as pass it here. So before arriving of the second clock, the value is 0. So 0 is already present here. So the Q1 plus becomes 0, which is nothing but D1. So your new values are 0 and 0. So you will copy here 0, 0. Now your again present state, next state becomes your present state before arrival of the third clock. Now again you will see select line and S. Now both becomes 1. Now again see, when select line equals to 1, see what is the value of S. S is 1. Okay, so the value updated is here 1. So now new value of T naught, which is Q naught plus, which is 1. Now come here, select line becomes is 1. So 1 is here. Now what is the value here before arrival of the third clock, which is 0. So I will write 0 and this value will be updated here. So what are the new values? D1 plus is equals to 0, which is nothing but, this is D1 and which is Q1 plus. So what are the values? 1 and 0. 1 and 0. Again your next state becomes your present state at select line 1 and 1. Now last, when select line and S becomes, select line becomes 0, S becomes 1 at fourth clock. Now select line becomes 0. Select line at 0 is P0 and P0 is logic 0. So D0 is Q0 plus, which is 0, and S at select line 0, I will write here select line 0, which is P1. P is 1, which comes out to be D1, which is 1, which is Q1 plus. So if you see what is the previous value, you don't have to see now this time at fourth clock, you don't have to see what is the value here, although the value here is again 1, but now you have to see at P1, and P1 is always constant, so its previous value, the previous value at all clocks is always 1. So it is seeing the previous value, but this time it is seeing the previous value and this value is always 1. So the concept remains same, but thing is that you have the different select line, the different input at the select line. The select line is chosen now 0, that's why this. So now new values becomes 0 and 1. 0 and 1 at select line is 0 and S remains 1. So again you have to copy this value 0 and 1. This comes out to be third clock and this comes out to be fourth clock. Now you have to calculate the output. Now you can see the bigger picture. That output comes out to be, if you see this and this, output is XOR of Q0 and Q1. So this comes out to be 1, 0, 1 and 1. So your answer would be option A. I wanted to ask one more thing which is not the currently asked in this question, but you should know that one should have insight of doing these types of questions by analyzing these. So there is one more thing I wanted to ask you, that if this is your new select line, this changes here at the same point and this becomes logic 0 for a small instant. Again this copies the whole thing and this becomes 0. So I am underlining this. So at T1, previously the logic was 1 and now this is logic 0. So will anything change? Think of it. Pause the video. I would tell you the answer. Nothing will change your output, because whatever the value present at output of marks will be taken as input by these two flip-flops at positive edge of the clock. That's why I said the value matters at positive edges. So whatever will be the value present here will be updated here at the positive edge of the clock. So the positive edge arises here. So at this value the select line is already known. So you don't have to worry about the value which changes here. Here logic becomes 0. So it will not affect your output. The value which is at your positive edge, see this. So if you can see, I am highlighting this. The value at the positive edge is still 1. So your output will not change. So you can leave this part, but this is one of your important concepts you can collect it. Thank you.